and she's going to be checking us out at 1 o'clock. I see Shibani. Shibani here. Hey guys. Hi Anita. Hey the Bedrin. Hey everyone.
Hi. Hi. Good
Hello.
morning or good afternoon, depending on where you are.
Good morning. We're getting a bunch of people checking in. We've got Mark.
Yeah.
Hey Mark. He's all the way in Argentina. We've got VJ from across the street. We have Shibani Joshi all the way on the
Hi.
West Coast, bringing us some good California positive vibes.
Totally, always.
How you doing? So, as I mentioned earlier, if you want to get set up, I want to be able to kind of see if we're going to do a
Okay.
portrait.
Stand up. Yeah, I'm gonna get set up so you can stand, so you can like
Okay, and
meet
in the
me.
meantime, I'll introduce Shibani.
Yeah.
Shibani Joshi, she's a journalist, author, entrepreneur, and a former national anchor
Yeah.
and reporter on Fox Business. So I can't wait to dive into your story. We had a bunch of people joining us. We're going to be sketching Shibani live. She's
I'm
just
having
setting up her camera now.
I'm trying to move the camera around here.
It's all good. It's all good. Whatever makes you feel comfortable, wherever we can
Yeah.
see you. If it's a close
Yeah.
up, that's great. So we're going to be sketching her live, and she's going to be dishing it out. We're going to be catching up. Shibani and I met over 15 years ago. Hey, Michael.
Yeah.
Husband just joined. Oh, good. I mean, if you wanted to sit down, that was nice too.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I'll stand for a couple minutes and then we can sit because I prefer to.
Perfect. Perfect.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tilt my camera so people can watch me sketch you. So Shibani and I met over 15 years ago at a continuing ed class at NYU. We were both taking a on live camera class, which I'm glad that helps for this type of thing. And Shibani, tell us about you, like backtrack, like what were you doing then? How did that was like the epitome, like the start of like your career and this whole journalism journey.
Totally.
Bring us back there.
Yeah, so what's interesting is that it wasn't ever like in my like on my list of things I wanted to be when I was growing up. My parents are from India, so initially I wanted to be a doctor, and then I was like, I'm not going to be a doctor. Maybe I want to be a dentist. And I ended up studying business in school, and then ended up working on Wall Street. And was just like, there's something more I want to do. I just have more of myself I want to share in my work and everything else. And so I had this kind of like secret dream in my head to be on the news and like communicate and use that as a tool because that's what I really enjoyed and I was really passionate about in my life. But I wanted to use the stuff that I was good at too. And so when I met you, Christina, I think we were talking about this. It was like 2006 or so, and I was at that point. I had graduated from business school. I was doing like a corporate development job at Disney ABC and doing like, you know, what people with MBAs do. You do strategy and business and all this stuff, but I still have that dream in my heart, but I was kind of too scared to make the leap. So what I did was I moonlighted, I guess. I like drove to Jersey and I did stuff on the weekends for like Indian TV stations. And then I started to take these classes, and that's where we met. And I remember like thinking about, and I did that at NYU and a few other places. And
I think we did it at the new school too. I think we did it 2 times together.
Yeah. But that class that we had, Christina, was like the dream team because there was like a few of us that ended up doing really well. Like, what's her name? Jessica Shupak? Or no, Jessica something. She's on New York One. She's married to the CNN anchor, Brian Seltzer. You got on TV, I got on TV. It was like the best class ever. And we used to, do you remember like what crazy things we had to do? Like go on the streets of the West Village to like the Halloween stores and put a mic in front of people's faces and say like, hey, what are you getting for Halloween this year? What are like the big trends? And like we used to do these silly things, but it gave us experience. It got us a reel. It got us like comfortable being on a camera and like, you know, that's kind of what you have to do when you have dreams. You have to work really hard at it. And people think that, oh, things come easy. No, they come with like a lot of effort over time. And that's what you and I did together. And I remember that. It was so fun.
It was a lot of fun. And it's funny because you and I, we haven't caught up in a while, but we chatted on the phone the other day, and you reminded me of having to go live into that famous Halloween store in Greenwich Village and interview people, and it was such a great experience. And for me, for someone who's always been a designer but somehow found her way on television, I needed a tool to kind of help me communicate with people, whether I was standing in front of men in suits and trying to sell them, you know, a whole board of directors at Banana Republic and trying to sell them jewelry, or whether I was like on camera talking about fashions and accessories, and then, you know, then fast forward, dream job to where I'm a creative director, designing and leading a team, and then also going to QVC and selling the product and sharing it with the world. So having that experience with you and Nancy and all of that live TV, even though it was like raw and crazy, it really along the way it really helped me with skills, and I still catch my S's and things that I've learned from the class, and talk with your hands. But you know, I'm Italian, so I think I can pass on that. But what a fabulous experience. So then tell us, after that, how did you land that incredible role on TV? I remember one day I was at my parents' house, and my dad's friend was over, Dr. Raju, who's a very well-known plastic surgeon in New York City. And we had the news channel on, and there was your gorgeous face. And I was like, oh my God, Shibani. And my dad's friend was like, you know her? And I was like, hold up, you're like old enough to be your dad. But, you know, it was just so excited to see you on a national television doing your thing. You're so professional, you're so beautiful, sharing that. How did you make that transition from like student, you know, side hustle to a full-time job?
Yeah, that's so sweet. Thank you. I am very flattered. And I love those stories because it just makes me feel so good, because I still feel so. I grew up in,
I think you froze.
Oklahoma, and I didn't think those things would be possible, you know, coming from where I grew up, and I just dreamed them. And you know, we're living in this time of like, think it, want it, get it. I believe in all those things, but I also believe in work it. And I think that nothing comes easy that is big and fruitful and hard. And I worked it. I worked really hard to get a job on Wall Street. I worked really hard to get on TV. As I mentioned, I would take those classes. And I did that for like a good year and a half. I took those odds and ends jobs, and even though, you know, I went to Harvard for business school, I was doing like local news in Westchester and doing like random TV stations. I mean, you gotta start small and scrappy, like no matter what, and be humble. And like, it didn't always feel good, but I knew it's what I needed to do to like make my happen, you know? And that's the stuff that like I feel like people don't talk about when we're doing this think it, want it, dream it stuff. It's like, no, you gotta work it, and you gotta be humble, and you gotta work it. So I spent like years getting a reel together and getting experience, and then I ended up getting an agent with all the hard work that I ended up, you know, doing over the weekends and at night. And then it just was the fate of, you know, the universe that Fox was starting its network. And so it combined all the stuff that I was working on, plus like what I'm really good at and I understand, which is business and finance, and it brought it together. And that sort of marriage, I think, is what makes people really good at their work, at their life. It's like your passion plus your strength together, and has been the magic recipe for me in terms of creating success, and not just success, but satisfaction. Because so many of us can have success, but like, are you really happy? Are you really invigorated by the work that you're doing? Like, that's the real goal. And sometimes it takes a while to figure that out. Sometimes it takes like those odds and end jobs, and then you finally end up in a place that's like, oh wow, I understand why everything before it happened. I understand why we did those like stand-ups on, you know, on 8th Street, because it gave us X, Y, and Z skills that we used 5 years later. Like, it all kind of comes together if you work for it.
Great. And great positive words. You're getting a lot of feedback from our viewers. Thanks for everyone for joining us. We are sketching the most beautiful Shibani Joshi.
Thank you.
She is a journalist, an author, a mom of three.
Yeah.
We got to get into that. You could come sit down. You want to sit down?
Yeah, I want to sit.
Yeah, beautiful. She's joining us from the West Coast, giving us those beautiful California vibes. I'm over here on the East Coast where it's rainy and cold and it's a Memorial Day weekend. I hope everyone out there is safe and well and going to enjoy their weekend. And I know that it's hard because you may not be with family, but you could be on FaceTime, and that's what we'll be doing. So, you said something that just resonated with me, and I wasn't sure if it was from your Instagram or someone else's, but somebody posted something about the dots that lead you to where you are today in your journey. And while you're on that journey, you may not be able to connect them, but when you look back, you'll see that the dots connect. And I'm totally butchering that, but it's pretty much what you were just saying. In your journey, as you were doing all of these things and learning and being scrappy and hustling, it may not have made sense for you in that time, but now that you look back, you said, oh, you know what, that experience, as you connect the dots, it got you to where you are today.
Yeah, and that's, I think, a good piece of advice for people who have big dreams and they think, oh, I want to run my own company one day, or I want to start my own fashion line, or I want to do these things that are my own. Sometimes you do the dots along the way because you have to learn. Sometimes you have to learn about business or finance or marketing or communications, or learn from people that know more than you, and that's okay. And sometimes, I think in a lot of what's going on right now in the in the mainstream, it's like, you be you, you do your thing, and I believe in that, but I also believe in learning, and sometimes you've got to learn and be humble and take things slowly and be willing to be a part of a team. It's not always just about you, it's also about being part of a team, and there's so many things that you can learn in that, and who knows what's going to happen with the economy and the market and all of that stuff. And that's the way you've got to approach it. If you're in need of work, if you're in need of if you've got stuff to do, you have to think broadly and be more open to a broad range of opportunities and possibilities, and sometimes that's hard.
Absolutely. And to your point earlier, it's about learning, and it's about kind of teaching in a sense. And what you're doing now, can you share with us some of the projects that you're working on now and how you are helping others learn and grow through your techniques and through your classes that you're offering?
Yeah, so what's interesting is I have this kind of track record or habit of oh, I want to work on Wall Street, and then I get to Wall Street, and then I do that for a couple of years, and I'm like, I kind of don't want to do this anymore. What do I want to do next? And then I take a little break, and then I figure it out. I'm going to go to business school. I want to do this. I want to do that. And that's kind of what ended up happening over at Fox. I was there for six plus years, and I loved it. It was everything that I wanted it to be. But at some point, I just realized I kind of want to do something else now. I'd also had a few kids. I was
a few, 3.
Yeah, now I have 3 kids, and
amazing.
It's hard to live that life of high performance at work and then be around for your kids. And once I started to get on that tightrope act with trying to be a mother, trying to be a wife, trying to do what I'm good at work, I realized that I just wanted something else. And so now I do a bunch of different things. So I freelance at a bunch of different places. I teach executives about leadership and strategic communications. I host a lot of events for big corporations. One of the things I'm really kind of nerdy wonky about is I really like technology. I've always played video games when I was a kid. I'd always fiddle around with tech tools and stuff, and I really like technology, and so I'm really still involved in that industry, and I host stuff and I do stuff for corporations. And then now I'm also writing, and I'm doing things like this, and I'm just trying to show more of myself and take what I'm good at and take the experiences that I've had and try and share them with people in different, in different platforms in different ways. And it includes business, and it includes technology, and it includes like just living a healthier, happier, more balanced life as a mother, and that can be a full-time job too. So
It's totally a full-time job, and that's
yeah.
I think we could all use all the tools right now too, because
Yeah.
it's such an interesting time. We are learning and figuring it out as we go. I find myself tuning into social media as a way to connect with people. So I'm so fortunate that we have these platforms that we could stay connected with one another. We were FaceTiming with my family yesterday. It was my mother's birthday, so everyone was on FaceTime. And, these are the ways that we are now. This is our new now. So these are the ways that we are staying connected, and there's so much value in that. And in some ways, I've been hearing this, but a lot, people feel even more connected to others right now because they're checking in with one another. They are checking in with their family, checking in with their friends. Hey, LDC, a bunch of people are joining us now. Just to recap, we are sketching Miss Shibani Joshi. She is an author. She is a journalist. She is a mom of 3. She's an old friend of mine. We both take it back to our days of being in school and taking that hustle. And at the time, I think I was working. I had my own line, and I was doing a lot of TV stuff, and I needed a little extra help in learning how to navigate the on-camera. So I took an on-camera class. I met this beautiful woman that you see on our screen, Shibani Joshi, and we instantly connected, and we stayed connected on social media, and we reconnected recently because we're both on this platform sharing things with women, sharing things with the world. You are offering classes and a newsletter that you're working on, and you're a public speaker, so you have a lot to offer. You are a journalist, so you've probably seen Shibani on the TV. She's been nationally syndicated. So all of these great things, Shibani, and how is everyone doing? How are you doing over there? How's California?
So I live in the Bay Area. I moved here up from Southern California in August. So we're kind of new to this area, and we're new to the Bay Area. And it's kind of tragic because we moved up here, and I have 3 kids, and they're now 6, 7, and 9. And it was a big transition for them. And just at the moment they were getting, I feel like, attached to their school and their friends and their community, like we went into lockdown. And California, as everybody knows, was very proactive, very conservative. So we were amongst the first to go into lockdown.
Yeah.
And, things are opening up, but much like New York, things are not really opening up. Other than restaurants and like basic businesses, nothing is open, and people are really nervous. And I think it's going to be a long time before we feel normal. And my kids are kind of over it. We've already celebrated one birthday in March at home, and he was like really bummed he couldn't go to like the bounce house place and invite his friends. And we did the best that we can. And it's my daughter's birthday next week, and she turns 10, and she's kind of like, I want to see my friends. And we're trying to figure out like, how do we see people? How do we, maybe we'll do something like the drive-by party, or do it on the front lawn, something that's open, but I think everybody's a little bit nervous to take that first step. And then, I was talking yesterday to some of my college girlfriends who live in Texas and Oklahoma and other places that are just much more open. I have girlfriends that are going out to dinner at a restaurant. And when I heard that, I was like, well, first, I'm not sure if I'm ready to that, but I just thought, oh, doesn't that sound so good and normal to like go to a restaurant? What I wouldn't do for that, right?
It does sound good and normal, but it also terrifies me.
Yeah. Totally.
I think it depends on where you are and what your reality is. My girlfriend who I had on the show the other day, Anita Greco, shout out to her. She's on right now. She's been in lockdown longer than all of us because she's in Europe. And you know, they slowly are letting them back outside and whatnot. And she's just like, this is crazy. People are now like sharing food. She's like, I don't know what to do. And I think it really just depends on your reality. And then, you know, we have family that are in Florida and they're like, everything's open, it's normal. So it's just a very, I think because there's so much fear, because there's so much unknown, I think that we all just need to be good humans and practice, you know, protecting ourselves, protecting others, even if you feel well, you know, you don't know, you could be carrying something and harming someone who's less comparable than you are. So I think we just all need to be really conscious. And where we are right now, we're in a beach town in New Jersey, and you see a mix. You see people wearing masks, and then you see people like, you know, brushing by you on the boardwalk, you know, running, and, you know, things flying everywhere. So, you know, it's uneasy, but I think everyone just, you know, everyone's trying to be responsible, and I think that's the message here, is to be a responsible human, because we don't have any answers. There's no end date in sight, so it's just a matter of doing the best we can and practicing safe measures.
Yeah.
So what are some of the things that you're doing with your family to, you know, pass the time? Are you homeschooling? Are you doing a lot of homework? What is it like being a mom of 3 during COVID?
We're doing a lot of homework, and, you know, homeschooling now at this point is, you know, I think, you know, when you were talking about, you know, sort of re-entry, everybody's going to do what's possible for them, because some people have to go to work. I mean, they have to go to work, they have to go to an office to work, or a warehouse, or, you know, an outside location. So people are going to immediately have, you know, different comfort levels. Different families have different risk tolerances, because maybe the children have asthma, or they have some pre-existing conditions. And so I really think it's all about doing what's right for you and what's right for your family. And I think that that's the case also with homeschooling. You know, you know, when we were chatting the other day, we were like talking about this, that, you know, week 1 of COVID, it was like COVID calendar. We're going to wake up, make beds, you know, art, music. We're going to do cosmic yoga, all these things.
I did that this morning.
Yeah. All these things that, like, yeah, that sounds good on paper, literally. And now by week, whatever we're in, I'm just like, you guys, take the iPad. You don't want to do your Zoom morning meeting? No problem. Skip it. Like, play Legos. Like, we really are just trying to go with the flow. And I have to be honest, Christina, like, I'm definitely like a type A person. I need
me too. Yeah.
I need to be high performing. I need to achieve. And like, a really great unexpected benefit, or like learning of this for me, has been to like let go.
That's
like
awesome.
Be easy on myself, on my kids, about life, like not put too much on my plate. You know, one of the things that I like evolved my goals over the last, you know, few months to include is like, I want to have fun every day, you know? And that was never on my agenda before, but like, how can I have a little bit of fun and laugh? And like, I mean, I never thought that that would be like a goal for me, but now I just realize, heck, I mean, it's too hard to like be a taskmaster and like be on top of everybody and always be achieving. And so I think that has been one of the like awesome
silver linings,
of this experience, is like, I'm kind of lightening up a little bit, which
I think that's great. And as someone who shares your type A personality, can you offer, and I'm sure there's a lot of us out there, a bunch of people just joined. Hey, Laura. Thanks, guys, for joining in. We are sketching Shibani Joshi, and she is all the way on the West Coast, and she's sharing us some great tips and tricks. For you, what was the tool that helped you let go and do this quick transformation from type A, like schedule, to it doesn't fucking matter?
Yeah, well, I don't think it was quick. I think it's gradual, and I think it's like day by day, minute by minute. But like, you know, one of my oldest, who's gonna turn 10 next week, she said to me, Mom, you're so busy. You don't, I never like, she was kind of upset and saying, Mom, you're so busy. I don't ever know like a good time to like talk to you. And when she said that to me, I just was like, I'm at home with you all day. And if you feel that I'm too busy and like you can't bring something up with me, like I'm doing something wrong. And
right.
sometimes you just get this feedback, and maybe you screw up at work, or you forget something, or something doesn't go well with what you're doing, and you have this reflection moment. And for me, I have gotten so many of these reflection moments, and a lot of times it's like with my kids that I'm like not my best self. My kids, are throwing a tantrum, or they're yelling, or I'm yelling, or whatever it is, and I just feel really
I'm yelling.
crappy, you just feel really crappy, and I just feel like, well, is it about you or is it about me that I'm like really forcing you to like pick up your toys? And like, do we need to pick up our toys every day? Well, in theory it would be nice, but since we're living at home for months on end, maybe I can like revise this so that he's not throwing a tantrum and I don't feel like crap in the middle of all this. And going with the way that you feel and making things feel a little bit easier, I feel like is a good guiding point. Is like,
so is it like a check-in? Like, what do you do? Like,
Yeah.
help us. Because I am definitely one of those people, and it happened the other day. I walked into the house and things weren't the way I expected it to be when I came in from whatever, dumping the garbage. And like, I lost it. So what are those tools? Because I could use them. I'm sure many of us can use them. Is it like count to 3, Anita Brecco? Is it like, is it just like taking a breath? Like, I mean, I share with us.
I mean, I think it's all of the above. I spent a lot of time looking into these personal like connection tools, because as I had 3 kids in 4 years, and I felt like I was overwhelmed and I was failing like as a mother, and I questioned like, are my expectations of these kids like reasonable? Is it unreasonable? Like, we don't know anything about child development and like what normal 2-year-olds do, like until we have a 2-year-old. And once by the time my 3rd kid rolled around, I was like, oh, this is so normal. I know this is going to pass. But you don't know that until you live it. And
Absolutely.
so I think deep breaths, I think pause. There's like a pregnant pause is like before you respond, before you if you feel emotion, have that pregnant pause, do a deep breath. It's you breathe in for 5 and you let out for 10. So exhaling for longer stretches calms your nervous system. There's box breathing, so it's 1, 2, you inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 4, hold for 4, or whatever length works for you. I mean, there's so many tricks that are out there. But I think that pregnant pause, so I wait. And then I also ask myself the question, like, is it worth it? Is it worth it to get into this fight right now? Is it worth it to fight over, okay, you don't like what I ate and what I made? Like, I understand that, like, I sometimes my immediate reaction is, this isn't a restaurant. I'm not order to cook. And then like, that's where I want to go. And then I take my breath, I do my pause, I just stop whatever, I stop the momentum. And then I ask myself, like, you come to a fork in the road. Is there a different choice available? Are there different words available? Is it that big of a deal that my child doesn't want to eat the whatever I made? Well, if it's happening every day, then, yes, but if it happens once in a while, then maybe I'll just let it go and warm up some chicken nuggets and not make it a big deal. And
that's a huge staple in our house right now, FYI. But I think that's just toddler life. Life in quarantine.
We have to like let ourselves be easy on ourselves about. Again, like I also worried about that. I was like, oh, we're having chicken nuggets too often or pasta too often or whatever. And that when I let go of that and I realized that's about me and what I think I should be doing, and if your goal is to just make life easier, then make choices that support that.
It's all about the choices, right? Making good choices.
I'm fortunate because I'm not a great cook, but I'm really good at putting appetizers together and making a mean kale salad, and I'm an excellent cleaner. But my husband does like most of like the specialty cooking. And I thank you for that, Michael, because it's not easy. I think we're all navigating and putting on all of these extra hats that we're not used to doing, between homeschooling, being a cleaning lady, a babysitter, a cook, you name it. You know, we're all doing it now. We're all just, it's survival mode. And I think for me, the silver lining has been, you know, having this time to be with my 2-year-old. He has online virtual school, and I look at, there's a wall behind you with all of this artwork. And for me, the silver lining has been having the opportunity to share my passions for creativity and art with him, and to really see that he is, for a 2-year-old, has really engaged in that. And for a 2-year-old that's definitely all over the place and very active and very like highly, you know, into things, whatever the word, he's taking moments to really be calm and be focused and do the art and share the art with me. And he enjoys watching me get out my paints and do stuff. So that was a catalyst for me to get back into this, because I'm a jewelry and accessory designer and an on-air personality, and I don't get to paint like this every day, and I'm still working on yours. But the silver lining is having that time, which, you know, we have, it's different time, right? Like we have no time, but we have more time to do things like this because we're not out there. So for me, having this creative moment and being able to make art has really like evolved, and it's been a really interesting time for me creatively, because I'm doing things differently. When I'm in the office, or if I'm working on a project for a brand, I'm there's a lot of emailing, there's a lot of calls, there's a lot of checkpoints, there's a lot of meetings, and there's very little creativity. And the creativity can be anywhere from like pulling together inspiration to sketching jewelry flat, but it's not necessarily like taking out your paints and drawing like a beautiful woman or, you know, a fashion figure. So for me, this has been like a super creative time. You know, that's the positivity out of all the chaos, is that it's been super creative for me. And I've also partnered with I went to Parsons, and I partnered with a former Parsons alumni who's a fabulous illustrator, and he was commenting on the work that I was posting, and I was like, oh my God, this is so incredible. Fashion Before the Internet, Bruce Lewis, hi, if you're on. You know, he likes my work, and I was like so thrilled, because I've always admired his work. I've worked with him at Banana Republic together, and I would always walk by him sketching the fashion figures and get so inspired. But you know, I DM'd him and I said, how can we do this? Like, how can we do this? How can we, you know, I'm going live with women, I'm interviewing women, and that's what I love to do, because I'm a connector, and I also want to be able to share my art and share people's stories. But how do we bring people together and sketch? Like, this could be a really amazing thing. And he like was just on it. He was like, let's get Mr. Broadway, one of our professors from Parsons, who also works at FIT, who's been doing this for 30 years. Let's pick his brain. Let's see if he would be into Zooming around the world and teaching people around the world how to sketch, and just getting people together at all levels. And that's what we're doing. So we joined forces, and we put together a collaborative called 560_7. And it's a virtual live model drawing Zoom class where there's a figure model, and 40 plus people from around the world have been joining in on a bi-weekly basis, and everyone's been sketching together, which has been creative, which has been connective, which has been like a really positive thing to do, and people are really excited about that. So, you know, I'm fortunate that I was able to do something creative during this time and continue to do so. And I'm fortunate that, you know, we all have our health and everything, but to be able to find that spark and to find something positive in what can be scary. And at times it gets scary. At times, you're lying in bed and you're like, oh, like, when is this going to end? But we have to stay positive. We have to do the things that make us happy. We have to breathe. We have to count. We have to do all of those things to stay focused and keep moving and grooving, right?
I mean, you are so creative and you're so accomplished, and you have made a prolific career out of just being you and following your passions, and that is so inspiring to me. And I take inspiration from you, everything you're doing, because I love what you're doing with this segment. I love seeing the sketches. Like, I had no idea you were so talented with even your drawings. I knew about your fashion designs and everything, but like, I think what it shows is like, this can be, in all of this, there are silver linings, and we can dig down deep and find something positive. No matter if even if you're not starting an Instagram live thing, and you're not starting things that quote unquote are like established or whatever, like there's something good that has come out of this for everybody. And I think you just need to dig down deep and think about it and appreciate it. And I think we'll look back on this time and say, yeah, it was hard, but it was also a gift in many ways, because we got to be closer to our families. We got to be more creative. We got to think outside the box, reconnect with people. I mean, if COVID didn't happen, we might not have been doing this together. I mean,
absolutely. It's searching for those silver linings, and I think you hear a lot of these stories. And I also want to say that it's okay to do nothing too. Like, so many people, I think it's like either people that are totally thriving in this, and then people that are really struggling. And you know what? It's all okay. Hey, my mother-in-law just joined. Hi, Val. But it's okay. It's okay to do nothing. It's okay to take this time to read. I have a girlfriend who I interviewed on the show, and she packed up and she's in the woods, and she's like, I'm not even checking social media. She came on and she did a live segment, and she had no Wi-Fi, and she was like, and we had a gorgeous segment, and I did such a gorgeous. She was such an inspiration. I have to say that you guys bring the vibes through the camera, and I'm just like transmitting, because it's all of you. Like, you guys are the inspiration, so I thank you for that. But it's okay to be taking the time reading, and it's okay to be taking the time just thinking and chilling and putting things in perspective. For some of us, we don't have that luxury because we're chasing after 3 kids or one. I can't even handle 1 kid. So I admire that you're a mom of 3, and this is a really challenging time for all of us. But it's okay. Whatever you're doing, that's okay.
I agree. I mean, there's so many people that are struggling on so many levels, whether financially, emotionally, mentally, and I think that taking care of yourself is the priority always, and if that's all you do, I think that that's okay. And if there's other things that you can do to connect with people and to create, and that serves you, I mean, this probably really feeds you, you being connected and creating, like, feeds you and supports your well-being, the state of your family, the state of your relationship with your husband, all of those things. It can look like whatever it looks like. It can be whatever it needs to be for people, and it's okay. And I think that it's so wise of you to say, like, if all you want to do is read and go for walks and do Zoom calls, then you be you and you do it. Like, whatever you got to do to feel good, that's the goal. And I think that going back to like me trying to incorporate more joy and to be easy on myself and be easy on my family, like, that is a worthwhile goal to have, to enjoy your life and to be in charge of your life and to live it in the way that you want to live it. It doesn't look like what it looks like for anybody else but you. And I think that this time has given us like being in tune with that more than any other period in my life. It's like I know myself, I know my family, and I feel empowered to do what's right for me, and more than I ever have before. And I think that that's a really good skill for all of us to have and to go forth into the world with. Like, just being more authentic. I think that's what the world has needed and has missed for so long. I'm excited to see what changes are going to happen in the world and the way that we interact with each other and the way that we work, and there's just so much that's going to happen, and the ripple effects for forever, decades to come, and forever because of what we're living through right now.
It's for the new normal, they're called, or the new, I think.
The
new normal.
Yeah. But I do miss people, It's like, as much as, I love talking to you here, I'd much rather be face to face with you. I'd much rather be, in a room with people doing my spin class. I'd much rather be around, humans over a Zoom call. And I as much as technology helps us and helps connect us, it is no replacement for the human connection. And I just hope that in all the changes that are going to happen, we still create time to be with people. I live in the Bay Area, and Facebook is here, and Google's here, and Twitter just said that everyone is going to work from home. Shopify, everyone's going to work from home. Like, huge change. Facebook just said 50% of their employees can work from home. I mean, there are going to be major changes to the way that the working world goes.
And I have to, I'm actually I'm excited for that too. And for someone who I've worked with a San Francisco-based company for many years, Gap Inc. And maybe in 2011, they rolled out an initiative which was called Work from Home. And it was such a new and bizarre idea. And they allowed us to work from home. And it was such a novel idea, and either people thrived in it or like it was total chaos. And for me, it was such a blessing because I'm type A, so I was like, okay, if I work really hard Monday from like 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. and just get all of my meetings and everything blocked into here, I'm able to have Friday off, work from home on a Friday. I can come to the beach, I can decompress, and I can be able to do my work. But I set myself up during the week that I was able to do that, and it worked for me. It doesn't work for everyone, but I'm curious as well to see how people are going to be moving forward with the new normal and the possible work from home, because it is possible. It's just a matter of setting yourself up for success, having a space, having a time, and kind of managing yourself. It's almost like being back in college or something, where it's like you have all this work to do and you have all these different things, and you have to manage when you do your homework and whatnot, and no one's watching you, so to speak, unless you live at home with your parents. But I too am very interested to see how this is going to evolve and also on another level, the kids, what school's going to look like. We had a Zoom call with the principal the other day, and she basically was like, I have no answers, but it could be A, B, C, or D of the above. It could be this, it could be that, it could be virtual, it could be half in school, half on, it could be different out. And there was all these different scenarios, so people are definitely thinking differently, and I don't know if that would be forever or just until we know more of what's going on. But things are definitely across the board are changing. In fashion, in my landscape, I was working on a project that was supposed to launch in May, and they postponed it, which is totally cool. And they rolled out a whole initiative about a slower lifestyle and a slower pace, even in fashion, which is known to be so fast. Now we're taking these moments of pause and these moments of reflection and being conscious about the products that we're releasing, being conscious about the clothes that people are going to be wearing, and now the pivots even from some of these manufacturers who are pivoting from making handbags to making masks. So there's a lot of interesting changes going around globally in all different facets of our lives, whether it's things that impact us like school and work, or things that impact us like Amazon not delivering paint supplies because it's not essential. So it's all like the new. But
I'm curious what you think is going to happen to fashion, because part of what I do, I'm always trying to stay on top of business trends, and through Harvard Business School we have a lot of Zoom calls and conversations about what we think business, or what the school thinks and the alumni think are going to happen. And one of the things that some of my peers have said is, like, right now we have decreased consumption, right? People aren't buying things because they're not going to the stores and whatever, and we're only buying quote unquote essential things.
Right.
So we're also learning to live without stuff, right? We don't need to get our nails done. We don't know how to do these things. And so one of the things that my colleague said was, we're going to see a second wave in decreased consumption. Like, when people get out, they might buy new stuff, and then they're going to realize, one, I don't have the money, I don't want to be in debt, and I don't need this stuff anymore. So how do you think fashion is going to change with this more mindful consumption approach that consumers might have? Because we already have it right now.
Yeah, and I have to say, like, for instance, brands like Kuyana, which is one of my favorite brands and a brand that I've been partnering with, their mission has always been like smarter, right? That's not their mission, that's what I'm saying, but it's all about less is more, and having those iconic pieces. And you don't need 100 cashmere sweaters. You need the perfect cashmere sweater. You need the perfect work tote and the essential hoop earring, or whatnot. So there are brands that have already been on this path of a more consciousness moving forward, and I think now you're going to see brands that you've never even imagined jumping on. Not that it's the bandwagon, but this is the new normal, and people are going to be thinking. People want more transparency. They want to know where things are made. They want to know if it, they want to know where their product comes from. They want to know if it's clean, with beauty, brands like Beauty Counter, where, there's visibility in all of their products, and everything that they do is clean and natural, because people are going to be on this slower pace. They want to know what they're ingesting, what they're putting on their skin. When I was pregnant with Lucian, I wanted everything had to be clean. Everything, had to be natural. Even the clothes I had on my body, like, I wanted to wear cotton. I wanted to, there's definitely been a shift that we've been seeing prior to this. And I think now more than ever, you're going to see a much slower pace and a more human approach towards fashion and retail. And even platforms like this, where brands are just sharing a little bit differently and connecting with people, and even bigger brands that I know are supporting the smaller brands and the local brands, new brands that are trying to get off the ground. So there's been a lot of positivity that I've seen, and I think that we will continue to see that moving forward. Bigger brands partnering with smaller brands, more consciousness in manufacturing and in the products, rolling out smaller assortments so that you're not overwhelmed with all these things you have to buy, taking those types of approaches for the fewer and better things. And I think there's a lot of brands out there that do that so seamlessly, and then there's going to be more brands that are going to continue to follow that path and to be more conscious. And I think that's a great thing.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it's going to be really interesting, and already we've seen, Neiman's is filing for bankruptcy. Forever 21 is gone. Barney's is gone. Like, so many, which is so sad. It still just makes me really upset. But really, it's the model is getting challenged for big retailers. It's going to be interesting how they go more local, more conscious, I'm very conscientious now of like, I'm using my dollars and I want to use my dollars to support local. I want to support my restaurants. I want to support local brands. But sometimes you don't know how to. There's no channel that's developed for that. So I think that seems like the next logical, development or place of growth is like accessing, and we have that with Etsy and stuff, but I just feel like there needs to be more of that. Like, how can I connect with brands and entrepreneurs and causes that I support, and do it more actively and support them, because we're all now about support and supporting with our dollars and supporting with our time, and I just think that's a wonderful trend that I hope will continue.
Well, thank you for your time, Shibani. It was so great to reconnect with you and sketch you, and I'll be finishing this up and I'll send you a picture. But this has been a great chat. And if there's anything that you want to share, your blog, your Instagram, so that others, obviously they can click on the above, Shibani_Joshi. But your newsletter and your blog, any information that you'd like to share with our viewers?
You can follow me at ShibaniJoshi.com, ShibaniJoshi.com. I have stuff about connected tech, about useful tech, and it's not just tech that's like wonky, but it's like stuff that makes your life more productive, interesting. And then I write a lot about some of the tools and techniques that I talked about, like the box breathing and more connected living and personal stuff on a blog called boldlyforward.com. But you can find all that stuff on my website, and you can find me here on Instagram. And I'm just so pleased to be connected to you again, Christina, and I just wish you great things and keep it going, because the world needs you and your gifts and your talents, and that is beautiful. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Shibani. Thanks everyone for joining.
Yes,
and we'll see you soon. Okay. I'm going to be back on at 1 with Ashley from Mom Uptown, for those of you who are on, and hope to see you. And I'll see you on the gram, Shibani. So best of everything to you and your family.
Thank you. Same. Talk to you.
Thank you. Ciao. Ciao, everyone.